You're listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast, discussing all aspects of precision and long-range rifle shooting. This episode is brought to you by Projectile Warehouse. Find your perfect projectile. And now, over to your hosts.
Well, hello and welcome to the Precision Shooting Podcast. This is episode number 15. I'm Rusty, and with me in this episode is Matt from the Practical Rifle Northern Territory. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, going pretty well. Thanks for joining us on this episode.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, can you tell me a little bit more about Practical Rifle up in NT?
Well, basically, like down south, it's a fairly new thing, and it really is just for those blokes who have those rifles, the precision rifles, all that sort of stuff, and a lot of us like that. We've shot F-class, and that's all good, but all the single loading doesn't really work out so well. So really, we sort of just try to design this for somewhere for these people to shoot, including myself. Like, this is mainly, I started up for myself and a couple of mates of mine, and one of my good mates that's moved over to Queensland, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And well, basically, we've been given the full use of the SSAA range up here in Darwin, and they've been fantastic. They've helped us out with targets and setting up, and especially one of the range officers there has been particularly helpful.
Excellent.
And essentially, all we're doing is every so often we get together. I broadcast it, of course, and get people together, shoot a bit of steel, and that's one thing. We're allowed to use steel, of course, on these SSAA ranges, and
yeah, nice.
And basically,
the Victorian guys will be jealous then?
Oh, definitely. Like, they're able to get a bit longer range than we are. Unfortunately, we're limited to 500.
Okay.
And but that's no limitation, of course. It's still a long way for the average shooter.
Sure.
And basically we're holding these matches. I think we're going to aim for 6 or so this year, and then a big finale at the end of the year where we'll give away some larger prizes.
Yeah, nice.
Basically that's about it, really.
Yeah, right. And despite your limitations of distance, I've certainly seen you use some pretty interesting barricades. What's, I guess, for those listening who may not be aware or specifically about what you guys do, what's the difference with a practical rifle match than, say, F-class or the other ones you mentioned?
Oh, you can't really compare the two. Obviously, I've shot a lot of F-class and I love it. I still shoot it. I find that F-class really makes you think about how well you shoot and doing everything the same, getting that consistency, and that's really good. I still encourage people to try that. With this practical shooting, it's a whole different ball game. You've got to worry about your stability. You've got to worry about, in particular for us up here, we shoot from every stage. We shoot from the one location. We don't move up and down the range. We shoot from the one location. So any stage, we can go from 2 to 3 to 400 meters, and all in the one stage in the space of a minute. So it really does shake it up a bit.
Yeah, brilliant.
And, of course, those barricades, that just puts a whole new bloody dimension into it. We made these thinking, this will be great fun. We'll shoot off these. And anyway, we went out and got all this woodwork, and we put it all together. It worked out quite well. It come together really nicely. And we did a couple of practices off them, and we just looked at each other and gone, holy bloody hell, this is a lot harder than we thought. And and
yeah, they look pretty good.
And well, way I made it, I thought, I'll make it so you're not flat prone, you're not flat standing up. Like there's one of them we've got like a staircase type shape. It's got 3 positions on the staircase and then one in the middle. And the one up top, and I'm fairly tall, I'm nearly 6 foot, and I'm on tippy toes on the top one.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And then the next two, they're sort of you're getting down lower and lower. But the one through the middle is a really awkward height, and everyone's up on their elbows. No one can get comfortable, and I like it. It really makes you think about how stable you have to be.
Yes.
And of course, we've got a couple other barricades and a few in the works. I'm just waiting for my co-partner in crime. He's currently overseas doing his job. And once he gets back, we're getting right stuck into it. He's emailed me a few ideas, and we're going to make them up for future events.
Yeah, look forward to seeing them. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that the same one that has like a rope on the side?
Yeah, that's one of the
The
other
same-
ones we made. It's a bit like
Okay.
it's essentially a cross from where you look at it, but it's a big long thing just to find it stable. Yeah, so on the cross we only utilise the top V of the cross at the moment.
Yes.
We got 3 positions on each side, and I've laid those with carpet, so no one has to worry about marking up their rifles, especially
Yep.
to the blokes who have those 5, 10 plus $1,000 rifles. So the
Yeah, right.
carpet's
Well,
good.
we're going to ask you what you've got later on, so we'll find out whether you're one of those blokes.
Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, so we've got the 3 positions on each side, so 6 positions on the actual cross, and basically it's just from a standing to a lower standing to a sort of half sort of crouching standing stance on either side. And
Yep.
the idea between those was it changes up where you're bracing the rifle against it, and it's a bit hard to explain, but it does change it up a fair bit. Just going from one side to the other, and then again we've got the down on the left hand side we've got the rope with a couple of knots on it for people to shoot off, and that's quite interesting, especially when you realise how unstable rope is to shoot off.
Yeah, I thought that surprised me. I thought that sounds really good to trying to shoot off a rope, because I've shot off trees that are probably less stable than rope sometimes.
And silly old me, I thought, yeah, beauty, let's make it challenging and shoot out to 500 metres off the rope. and
And that went well.
I can't remember, to be honest. I remember I hit 2 out of 4 shots.
Yep.
Yep. That was with me, and I've got a fairly old large rifle, and but for this next, so we've got to shoot coming up this Sunday, and we're doing the same stage again with that cross, but I've reduced the 500 metre targets back to 200 metre. Just to make it a little bit easier. I did find that our last shoot was on the difficult side.
Okay. Well, you're not going to know. So the last one you did that's the first for the year, or is that the first?
It
what
was
the story?
First for the year. We did hold one last year in July when we first started thinking about doing it up, and essentially we set it up. There was only 4 of us there. Like, it was myself, my mate who's overseas at the moment, and a couple of good mates. We went down and just had a crack, and it was good fun. We really enjoyed it, and unfortunately, I then went into a new position at work. Really didn't have much time, so it sort of lacked a little bit for the last half of the year, which everyone goes through that stage. But yeah,
it's life, isn't it?
The blokes rang me up just before Christmas and said, "Hey, what's going on? We need to really get this sorted out." So I nutted down, and every lunchtime at work, I'd sit down and I'd just spend the entire hour I get for lunch just working on getting this matches up and running.
Yeah, brilliant.
And yeah, we had our first match for the year on February 16, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and that was great fun. I think we had 12 people come along, which is far exceeded my expectations, and I was really happy with that. And everyone seemed to enjoy themselves, even the blokes that didn't necessarily do so well.
Sure.
And yeah, throughout the day, everyone was helping each other, having a great old time, and hopefully we can get them all back again.
Yeah, so tell us, you've got one coming up this Sunday, so tell us more about that.
Yeah, we do. So this will be, obviously the second match, and it's going to be, I won't say completely different. There are a couple of aspects. One stage is exactly the same, I like to, at the first stage, have a chance for everyone to make sure their rifles are set up, so we'll shoot that on paper. It's still not easy. It's still going to challenge people, but it's a good way to start off. And then the rest of them, like I said, we're doing the cross one again, and I'm just tweaking everything here and there, and
as you would, absolutely.
Just trying to work it all out and make it as the best experience we can for everyone, and throwing a couple of different things in there, a couple of new ones that even I haven't attempted to do before, so that'll be interesting.
So it might be harder again, hey?
Oh, probably.
I got to keep it challenging. That's the thing. So that to pass the information on, that's the 3rd of April.
Yeah,
which is only a few days away from when we're recording this. And what for anyone listening who happens to be in Darwin or can last minute get there, where are they got to be and when, and what do they have to bring?
So basically, we're holding it on a Sunday this time. We held it Saturday last last February just to see how it went. We found that a lot of people were missing out because they had to work, and a lot of people up here have got jobs on weekends. They fly in, fly out, that sort of stuff. And so we thought we'd hold it on the Sunday, and to help out the Saturday afternoon prior, we're going to have a little bit of session. Everyone can get down and practice. I might get the barricades out for people to have a look at.
Good idea.
And get people to come down and help us out, because poor old John and I last time we were sweating our rings out getting all this stuff set up.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah, because we got the steel, and I'll just add this in. We've got the steel targets, but we've also got LED lights set up, so when it gets hit, there's a LED light off to a couple of metres off to the side, and they flash away and give us a positive indication that they've been hit. But unfortunately,
nice.
A couple of rifles broke them. A couple of larger Magnum rifles broke them, so so we've got to figure that out. It's still all work in progress.
Of course.
But this Sunday we've got it at 8 o'clock at the SSAA range in Mickett Creek Shooting Complex.
Right.
And 8 o'clock we're going to have everyone rock up. Registration, we'll write it all down. And 9 o'clock we'll do our safety briefing and get started.
Go from there. Brilliant. And so all that information, I imagine, is going to be on the Facebook page, so we'll drop a link into the show notes.
Yep, correct. All on there.
People can find out that. So you're intending for another few matches this year?
Yeah, hopefully. We got another one on mid-May. I think it's on the 15th of May. Yep. That'll be our third one. Unfortunately, after that, I'm fairly busy on my way. I'm going for a big trip down south, taking the 338 laps down for a bit of a shot with when my mate gets back from overseas, of course.
Yeah, brilliant.
Going down there. So I'm not sure when the others will be, but we're hoping to hold possibly 6, maybe 5, pending how we go for time. And then we're definitely going to have one towards the end of the year, like a big finale shoot. We might make it a 2-day event and hopefully get as many people as possible up for that one.
Yeah, brilliant. So anyone thinking about getting to Darwin in, what do you think, in November, December, something like that?
Not December, possibly
Not
late
December?
October, I'm thinking, because it does get quite ugly with the weather up here. Especially,
right.
People that aren't used to this humidity, they'll know about it in November.
Well, that'll just level out the playing field, and the local boys will certainly have the advantage then. That's the idea.
I've been here 4 years and I'm still not used to it.
Okay, fair enough, mate. Oh, very good. So if you've been there 4 years, obviously you've been fairly connected with the clubs there. How did this practical rifle stuff come about? Just a change for you guys?
Basically, when I come up here, I didn't have much of an interest in shooting. I sort of started. One of the blokes at work said, "Hey, we've got this intro day to full bore shooting." So I went out and had a crack at that, and got into that. Shot F class for a few years and got right into it. Loved it, and I was never one for the full single action, big magnification scope, and I've always shot off a bipod, and that was just me because I used to go a bit of fox shooting and whatnot. Yeah. And I used to shoot with a bloke, Greg, and he was exactly the same mindset. He shot his Seiko off a bipod, and we were basically two peas in a pod, shot the same stuff. Yeah, and nice. I think it was really his interest. He tried to get it up and going with our F class range, but it wasn't quite to their liking. I think.
Yep.
I think what he was proposing was not quite to their standard rules and all that sort of stuff. And then anyway, he's moved away, and then the idea was put to me. And a couple of other blokes said, "Well, if one starts up, I'm happy to shoot it." And I almost fell into the job of organising this one up here, and it also goes to the fact that old mate that's gone overseas here, Bear, he come to F class once, didn't like it, and so majority of our shooting was actually at the SSAA range, just back at the mound, shooting at each target at each range, and all the steel targets there, and and that was his thing, and we were good mates, and basically we thought, well, let's make a competition of this. And with Greg over in Queensland, there, he's really been a great help, and especially
Nice.
with all the finicky legal, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Just trying to get it up and running, and but it's basically gone from there. We had a couple of interests. People say, yeah, that sounds really good, and obviously the club, if the club wasn't as helpful as they've been, it probably wouldn't have gone
A bit
much.
struggle.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right. Like they've chipped in a great amount. They've helped us out with buying a heap of new steel targets and these
Yeah,
LED
brilliant.
lights, all that sort of stuff. And it's really gone from there. And
Yeah, nice.
Hmm.
And hopefully from strength to strength.
yeah, hopefully, like I'll be more than happy if we can just grow on our 12 from last shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be good. And I guess hopefully a mixture of guys who are already shooting and also some new shooters in that mix as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Like even with this Sunday, I've got two people. They've done a bit of shooting in the past, but they've just asked if they can use our club rifle. But our club rifle at the moment is actually, in fact, my old 308 with a 30-inch bloody telephone pole on it.
Yeah, right.
But it's in an AI chassis, and it's a laser. And the only reason I don't shoot it is because of my current rifle now, and because I don't have a scope for it. So I borrowed a scope for it. Now I just got to load some rounds for these guys on the weekend.
Oh, that's good of you, mate, to get guys into the sport and not let the equipment be their stumbling block.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's a big thing, because the worst thing I don't want to see people come along with this cruddy old rifle they pulled out of someone safe and they can't shoot out to range. I really want people to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of equipment, I guess it's good to know what your thoughts are in terms of what equipment is needed for this type of event. What are you finding is your minimum requirement, and also what's sort of ideal to work towards?
Basically, you do need a semi-accurate rifle. You can't. I find that if someone turns up with an old Ruger Scout, they don't quite cut up to it. They can certainly come along, and I encourage them to. But
of course,
yeah, somewhat decent rifle, shoots well. Like, obviously, people use the minute angle term all the time, and say a minute of angle rifle. And a relatively decent scope that you're well equipped with.
Yep.
And for example, my mate's rifle in front of me, he's got an AT with a Schmidt and Bender scope on it. Like, that's obviously your top end type of rifle.
That'll do the job.
Exactly right. We had guys come along. They had their standard Remington 700s that they took out hunting with their stuff like Hogue stocks or Bell and Carson stocks. And they just had their standard scopes, and they're sitting there doing their dials. They all shot quite well. One bloke had an old Winchester, I think it was a Winchester, or 270, and he shot well. He just bit of a bugger. His scope broke on the day.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, a bit of an
Oh dear, what happened?
I believe it was just a cheap scope.
Okay.
And he has got himself a new one since, which is good to hear. But yeah,
excellent.
Generally, a rifle you're familiar with, and you're familiar with your data for each range. Like, that's one of the most important things. Because unlike the blokes down in Victoria there, where they come back each range and they shoot one range per stage, we have the benefit of obviously being able to shoot multiple ranges per stage. So it really does come into account knowing your drops, and especially a first focal plane scope is really advantageous for us up here.
Yep. Yeah, why do you say that?
Purely because if you have it, like for instance, my rifle, I have it zeroed perfectly at 100 metres, and I know my drop for each range up to 1,000 metres now. I did a bit of practice on the weekend, and
good to hear.
Basically, if you have a first focal plane scope and you know your exact drop data for each range, so we haven't stuffed around with the ranges yet. It's all at 100, 200, 300 metres so far. If you know your drop, you can just quickly use that reticle to, without adjusting the turrets, use your reticle to hold over on the target. So much quicker, less fuss, and you don't have to worry about counting your clicks or watching where you're turning it. Yeah. And it's just so much quicker and a lot easier, I've found.
Yeah, certainly agree with you. It's just always good to know people's reasoning as to why.
Yeah.
Particularly for those listening who are not overly familiar. And we've talked about first focal plane scopes a bit recently, so first and second. So it's good to get a practical application for it.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I even shoot with my first focal plane scope at F class, and other than it having real rough clicks for F class, most of the time, like even F class, I'll dial the range in because we're only shooting the one range, and then I'll just hold off. That's what I've found is the best application for that. But totally different story for practical rifle shooting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, out of curiosity, what sort of power are you running most of the time? Do you sort of stay on one power, or do you move around a bit?
I move around quite a bit. Generally, if it's the one stage, I'll max it up. Sorry, not one stage, the same range. I'll put it up to 25 and shoot there. Particularly with the first stages where it was on paper, just at 100 or 200 metres. However, when speed is involved, you do need to be able to see your fuller shot, and in that instance, I'll wind it back down to say 20 power or 15 power or something like that. I never really put it to exactly some power. I'd normally just I turn it on until I can see what I need to.
Yeah, but that's the benefit with the first focal, isn't it?
Exactly right.
Don't have to be on any specific power.
Yeah, and you don't have to be on the specific power and the reticle stays the same, and you can still use your holdovers without a worry.
Brilliant, nice, mate. So where did your interest interest in shooting come from? Was it there before you got to Darwin?
It was. I never held my license until I was up in Darwin. I just used to go out with the old man, spotlighting on farms down in New South Wales every now and again. Loved it. It was great fun. I used to love just being on the spotlight, spotting the foxes for Dad, and we used to chase the foxes through the paddock on the back of the ute just to run them down with the shotguns, and that was always a bit of an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, nice.
But my rifle shooting really interested me when, obviously, I said before, a friend from work, he said, "Come out and have a look at this intro day to full bore shooting." And I said, "Yeah. Beautiful. I've never shot anything bigger than a 222, so I thought, I'll go and have a look." Anyway, I put this full bore rifle in my hands, 308, had a shot. It was good fun. In a few weeks, I shot full bore, and then I was looking at the F class blokes, and I'm going, I used to always shoot with a scope. I'll do that. Tried that, and I ended up having the first rifle I bought was one of those old. Have you heard of the AIA, basically number 4 303 remakes in 308?
Yes, where are those? Yep.
Yeah, so I had the Target version, one of them, for a couple of years. Yeah, great gun, fantastic.
Went well.
Yeah, really well. And
nice.
I'm kicking myself now, but I did sell it just before I got married. I did have my new custom rifle at that stage, and I'd had two 308s, and I wasn't shooting the AIA, but it was a fantastic gun.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Hopefully
it's found a good home.
Yeah. I can't even remember the bloke I sold it to. I think it was New South Wales somewhere.
Okay.
But he really enjoyed it, and he sent me a couple of photos of him having a shot, and glad he's enjoying it.
Excellent.
And so I shot F class for a little bit, and really got into that, and obviously I told you before, got into the practical side of things.
Yeah, and that's where you found now. You said you're still shooting F class.
Yeah, when I
from time to time.
It's a little bit hard because I am a shift worker, and and obviously our footy season's up here, and I'm big into playing sport as well. So footy and work sort of do get in the way a bit up in our wet season up here. So, but during the dry, I'm able to get out a bit more.
Yeah, brilliant. Is there any other type of shooting you get involved with, or is those really the main things?
That's really it. Occasionally we go out, and we've got our waterfowl season up here. We've got magpie geese and all that. Get out into the swamps and get proper filthy and shoot a heap of lead and or not lead, steel, sorry, and not come home with anything. We went out there once over the last season. The only goose we caught, I caught it with my hands. I snuck up on it in the reeds.
Yeah, wow. Oh, that saves some money. Yeah.
Oh, we used a couple of boxes each at one's flying past, but that was it.
Oh, maybe a different approach next season, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe leave the guns at home.
Yeah, that's it.
Give it a go. Yeah, brilliant. And so what I alluded to it before. We're going to find out whether or not you're willing to damage your rifle. What equipment are you running at the moment?
I currently have one of the Accuracy International AXs.
Very nice.
I believe it was in one of the first shipments just before Christmas. And like I said before, my mate's got an AT and he's had that for about a year now. And ever since he's had it, I've been drooling over it. And so I had to get an AI. Like, they're a fantastic rifle.
Yeah, good.
And
nice.
It's currently in a 300 Win mag, and it's shot exceptionally since I've got it. I did have a bit of an issue with the wrong powder, but it just wasn't pushing it as hard as I'd liked. Since I've changed powder and I've got an extra 250 feet a second out of it, which is much nicer now.
That always helps.
Yeah, definitely. And currently in customs, I've got the 308 and the 338 barrel waiting for.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just went bugger, got the whole thing, and I thought, well, it's going to be 3 rifles, 1 scope, and I saved myself $8,000 in scopes. Essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing it the one thing.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, nice. What are you running on the scope wise?
I got a Night Force Beast.
Yep.
It's essentially just a Night Force version of the Schmidt and Bender ones.
Okay.
5 to 25. No, I don't have one of those Horus reticles. I looked at them and I've gone, far too busy for me.
That's what everyone says when they first look at it. But I tell you what, if you get one and you use it, you learn to look through it pretty quick.
I imagine so, but I looked and gone, nah, not for me. Maybe in the future. No.
Fair enough.
I just got a standard Mil R reticle in. It's all mil. I used to have MOA scopes, and I found that it was a little bit harder to guesstimate your holdovers and whatnot.
Sure.
Because we never shot in yards. We're all meters up here at both our ranges, and I just found the mil a bit easier, and certainly that first focal plain reticle is much easier to use.
Yeah, certainly. It's the mill side of things I've changed over to, and certainly no complaints. But I mean, if you know one or the other very well, you can certainly make them work.
Yeah, exactly
either way.
Right. And it's just what you're used to, of course.
Are you finding a bit of a mix of both at the comp that you're running?
To be honest, I didn't
notice.
I did notice that a lot of blokes were just using their standard hunting scopes.
Yeah. Okay.
So apart from myself and my mate's rifle, I just went buggy on lending that out, and I don't know if anyone else had any first focal plane scopes. I do know of 2 other people that are in the process of ordering first focal plane scopes because I have seen the benefits of it. But most people, a couple of blokes were just using, say, NXSs, the Night Force NXSs, and I know that the range warden was going to use a Burris Eliminator, but he couldn't get the elevation.
Okay.
I think because he had a 20 MOA rail on his rifle, and he couldn't get it up right, so he used just a standard old scope on his Savage.
Yep.
But yeah, certainly people just using their standard old scopes, and because they knew their scopes well and how to adjust them, they didn't do too badly.
And that's what I love about this practical rifle side of things, is because it seems to me anyway, and what I've been involved with has been so welcoming to guys just to use whatever they've got and come along with what they have, and in time they may upgrade, but you have guys sitting with a rig that you've got versus next to guys sitting with sort of a fairly standard hunting rig that they've slightly modified, and you're still both out there having a good time.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's what we strive for. I don't want anyone to feel out of place. I want everyone to come down and have a bit of fun. Yeah, and especially when you're shooting next to someone without a brake, and you shoot with a brake and just blows their hair out. And
oh, isn't that great?
Yeah, it's a good old surprise for them, and have a bit of a laugh about that.
Yeah, and those guys who want to get into the sport a bit more, perhaps will tailor their gun accordingly. But there's certainly, I love the requirement of just being able to do it with whatever you've got.
Yeah, and it's even great. The blokes that think they thought they had their rifle down pat, they come along and they shoot something, and even Chris, another mate.
Yep.
He come down, and I think you know him, of course.
Yep.
And he's got himself a Tikka CTR in a Macmillan stock. Great little rifle, and he's just ordered a first focal plane scope for it.
Yep.
And he just found he had issues keeping his aim on target. Like the recoil was just taking him off a bit too much. And,
certainly.
When we went out on the weekend, and we did nut out a few problems that he had, and one of them was it's just the recoil was just kicking him about too much.
Yeah.
He was only shooting a 260, but it still had a bit of kick.
Yeah, he's been trying to get a fair bit of velocity out of that thing, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's struggled a little bit, but I think he does only have a 20-inch barrel, and I think that may be his limitation. But
yeah, that's it.
It may be only a 20-inch barrel, but it's still really accurate. Like,
it does a job.
We were shooting out to 900 metres, to 1,000 metres, sorry, and at 900 metres, I had the big 300 Win mag, and I put 2 bullets exactly where I aimed, and it was minimal wind, but anyway, that was acceptable for me. And then Chris had a shot, and first he'd never really shot further than 500 metres with that rifle, and we got him out, and literally every range back from 600, except for 1,000, he got a first shot hit using a ballistics calculator. And
nice.
We just adjusted that accordingly, and he was shooting really well at 900 metres. 1,000 metres was a bit of a different story because the wind did kick up a touch, and but we got his elevation correct for that in the end.
Yeah, brilliant. I know we're getting all sort of personal here, but Chris came out shooting with us one time, and he did almost the same thing, but without a ballistics calculator on a 22. And he took that thing from 100 metres, 22 subsonic round, all the way out to 400, and basically hit targets every 50 metres first shot.
Bloody hell, that's like...
We were sitting back going, he's not going to get this one, he won't get this one, bang, hit. Oh, man, how did he do this?
Yeah, take notes, fellas.
Yeah, so I just sat down and started writing a few things down, watching his technique. It was very impressive to see. I'm not sure he knew how he did it either, but full credit to him. It was he did very well. No, it's good fun getting out there on the 22s from time to time.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, very good. So have you shot any other matches in the other states, in the practical stuff with Vicar in New South Wales?
Unfortunately not. I haven't really been able to get away as much as I want, but hopefully when I go for this big road trip down in July that there's something
something you can hook into?
Something we can get a hold of. Like I think the first one I'm going away for is the one down in Adelaide.
Down with us. You guys. Yeah, that should be good fun in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Especially I've never shot further than 1,100 metres, and if you've got something further than that, I'll be a little kid in a lolly shop.
I look forward. I'll take video of that, I reckon, because we do. It will be something a bit further than that. We'll see what happens.
Oh, it's surprises, is it?
Should be good fun. Of course, mate. Of course, got to keep some things under wrap, mate. Keep it fun.
Can't I slip 50 under the table?
That's going to be hard via Skype. Anyway, now I was going to ask you about your 300, like shooting the practical stuff. Have you found the 300 to be no dramas at all, or have you sort of seen that perhaps a smaller caliber is going to be better for it, or what's your thoughts?
I believe a smaller caliber for this type of shooting is more beneficial because you don't need a big bullet to kill a target.
Correct. Yep.
To be honest, I'm only shooting the 300 out of necessity because I don't have the other barrels yet.
Because that's what you have.
Exactly right. Yeah. That's all I got, so I'm going to shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Preferably, I'd shoot my 308 when it arrives.
Yep.
Because obviously shooting, like one of our stages was shoot 2 targets at 200 metres as quick as you can within 30 seconds. And I got 11 rounds off, and that's a lot of rounds for a 300 in 30 seconds. It was pretty quite hot.
And they all hit?
Yes, they did, in fact.
Yeah.
I hot-loaded one. This stage only we were allowed to hot-load, so I hot-loaded one and then I had a mag of 10 that I was able to get away.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, very good fun, mate.
But
that's pretty good recovery for the 300. Does the recoil sort of throw off a bit, or you got that under control?
Well, the thing with the brakes, like they're amazing things. Like the brake on the 300 brings it down to the recoil that I was getting off my 308. That was unbroken. And because I was used to that recoil, it really was no biggie. And because I was shooting off a lower power, I'd shoot and immediately, even if as I was lifting the bolt, I was already moving on to the next target because I was confident that I'd hit the target. Even though the bullet nearly hit it instantaneously, you just shoot next target and keep going on like that. But I wouldn't recommend shooting a 300 for our style of match.
Sure.
We don't get a whole heap of wind. But obviously, if you've got one, use it.
Yeah, that's it. It's better than not shooting.
Exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see, and of course, we see stuff out of the States where that style of shooting is favouring the 6 and 6.5s a bit more. But I know a lot of guys here are still using 30 cals, and not anything particularly wrong with that. It's just it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few years with that sort of things.
Yeah, I think people are still using 308s purely because it's easy. It's not as easy as for us to get those 6.5 cartridges, especially those really out there ones like 6.5 Creedmoor, and I think 6.5 by 47 is one of the easier ones of the 6.5 mils to get. And to be honest, I don't know about the rest of them.
No, that's it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the next period of time.
Yeah, exactly right. You never know. 6.5 Creedmoor could become cheaper than any other brass that's out there. How popular it gets.
Of course, it'll be interesting to see because I know that that Ruger Precision rifle, which I don't know if you've been looking at or following at all.
Yeah, that's the folding stock one, isn't it?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Is that no dramas up in? No
good. We can't have folding stocks, or I believe we're not allowed 50 cal or 50 cal. This is 50 cal BMG, or its derivatives. But I believe most of the other things are okay.
Yeah, okay.
But, we don't have a mag limit or anything like that, but I haven't seen anyone running, other than the Remington 7615s, I haven't seen anyone run anything more than a 10-round mag.
Yeah, fair. 10 rounds seem to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, especially in a bolt gun. You don't need much more.
Absolutely. Out of interest, Nye have sold or pre-sold 122 of the Ruger Precisions in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Right.
So that's it'll be interesting to see once they actually get here if there's some support with the ammunition side of things as they tick along.
That'd be interesting.
120 odd guns is not a massive amount, but
But it's not a small amount either. That's still a lot
for a couple of $1,000.
Especially when you think there's probably only, just a pure guess, maybe 30 AI AXs, the new version AXs in the country at the moment.
Yeah, okay. So put it in perspective of the, it's competitive, well, not direct competitors in some ways, but it's what guys are doing similar applications with.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
but I think they're only available in Queensland and Victoria at the moment, I believe.
SA is no drama.
Oh, you guys can have folding stocks?
Yeah, I've got one of those on order in Creedmoor myself.
Yeah,
eventually when they get here. So
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, but to put it in balance, there's over 220 308s on order as well. So I guess people will stick with what they know fairly well.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Well, we've slightly digressed from anyway. I don't know quite how we've ended up here, but we have. So what I wanted just to do was touch on the comp you got coming up, and then we'll, unless you've got any particular information you want to give out as well. We'll go over those details and finish up.
Yeah, right. Well, basically,
is there any?
Sorry.
Anything else you wanted to cover?
No, not much. Basically, I think I should thank Jace with Jason Hillier at AG. He's been fully supportive. I think I've mentioned on our Facebook he's going to not send us a couple of spur mounts, but rather the winners at the end of the year will be able to pick their spur mounts they want to get grabbed from him, and he's sending up a couple of little goodies to give away in the upcoming shoots.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, he's been fully supportive. I think he's even supportive of the blokes down south, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I know the Vic guys are supported by him as well, so it's good to see the industry getting behind it.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and of course we've got a couple other blokes working on them. A little bit slow on my part, unfortunately.
Oh, that's all right. So, yeah, we certainly need to see some support for these type of events because that'll help the events grow and help the help the industry grow, which
Exactly
is good
right,
as well.
yeah.
Brilliant. So the shoot coming up, this one is the 3rd of April. Where was it again? What's the
Darwin, SSAA in Darwin, in Mickett's Creek.
Yep.
Yeah, just a 500 metre range there.
Nice. And you think the next one's probably on the 15th of May, but we're going to stay tuned to Facebook to confirm that and to find out more?
Yeah, it should be the 15th of May, I believe. Obviously, like you said, it will be confirmed. I have confirmed it somewhere, I just can't remember the bloody date.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. We'll run with the 15th, but definitely check the show notes for the link to Facebook and hit Matt up there and find out all the information as we go along.
Beautiful.
Very good, mate. Well, thanks heaps for coming on the show, and really good to talk with you.
No problem, mate.
We went off on a few tangents, but I guess that's we like talking about guns, and that's
exactly. It's good. I like it.
That's the bottom line. Brilliant, mate. All right, well, thank you for your time, and thanks everyone for listening.
No worries.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Precision Shooting Podcast. To continue the discussion, check out our Facebook page. And for more information, head to our website, www.precisionshootingpodcast.com.au. This episode was brought to you by Projectile Warehouse. Find your perfect projectile.